YouTube, Troystarz trucking. Thanks for tuning in, and in this video I'm gonna go over some stuff about Landstar. A subscriber emailed me the other day from Canada, and he was trying to get some information based on the area that he's living and how the loads are coming out of there and going back in, right? I did try to answer, but I know there are some stuff that I leave out, but I tell him I was gonna do a video on it because maybe there are more than one person want to actually get this information that he's asking, which he asked some very good information, but he have some solution for the question that he asked, which is very good. Now this is it. Let's get right into it after these messages.
For more videos like this, please subscribe.
Okay, so this is it. First, he says he's doing his own thing and he's living with his wife, and he's also doing his own operator. He owns his own truck, and I think he said it was a T60 or T68 Kenworth, yeah, and he's doing his thing. So basically the question was, is it enough load coming out of Winnipeg and to take him back home, right? Now he also go ahead and asks where in Canada should he move, because he's planning on moving. He doesn't really, he says they're freelancing. Basically it's like he's still trying to figure out places to live in Canada, because basically Winnipeg is very cold and also kind of boring according to the conversation, right? But he's saying that he want to move somewhere. He was thinking about Calgary, or thinking about Montreal, or thinking about Toronto. I answer his question by telling him that loads from the US going back into Winnipeg or BC or Calgary are paying very well. Now the only problem is the loads coming out, right? And at the time when I was talking to him, I was actually there in Edmonton at the moment, right? And it was hard to find a load to get back out. The loads are paying extremely cheap, but the load that I get to go there was paying well. With Landstar, stuff that you can't do, or basically you can't, as a Canadian BCO, you can't like look for a load in the US and pick that load up and deliver in the US. You can't. That's against the rule, and that's not by law, and it's everywhere else. Every other company that you're working for in Canada, once you come over into US, you have to pick that load and go back over. You only can go for Canadian BCOs with Landstar. You only can get a load in Canada and take it same place in Canada, and that's okay, right? But once you're gonna go over in the States, you have to go back into Canada. So that's where, you know, we get our little challenge, you know what I mean? Let me kind of break down where to live and where I think it's okay, and also what you should be aware of. If you're thinking about moving, you mentioned Montreal and you mentioned Toronto. This is what I'm gonna say. Stay away from Nova Scotia, because there's no load coming out of Nova Scotia, right? Unless it's Christmas tree, and that means you gotta wait until December. The next place is Newfoundland. I don't think you would wanna even try. Edmonton, I was there. I can't say much because it's not like a lot of times I look at the board in Edmonton to can tell you, okay, that's not somewhere to be. But Edmonton is kind of slow too. Calgary is more, you will get load coming out of Calgary, and even Winnipeg where you are, because sometimes I see load there but they're not paying well, and they're actually just the return load is okay, you know what I mean? And it's not frequent like BC you have load coming out, not frequently, but yes, frequently going back in. That's BC. So, and BC is, unless you're planning on doing chain up and stuff like that when winter comes on, because you know you have to have chains on your truck, right? So you have to consider and think about that. No, this is just for dry van. I don't know about flatbeds, and I think flatbeds will be more like active over there, I'm thinking, because they do more of that oil thing or whatnot, you know what I mean? So flatbed will more be interested, but I don't know because I've never actually checked it out. Those are the places I would say try to avoid. Now you mentioned Montreal. Montreal is kind of a bit tricky in a sense where loads is coming out of Montreal, yes, load is going in, yes, but the French, if you don't speak French, you may have a challenge. Even though most of the people there speak English, you may have a challenge with Montreal by living there, you know what I mean? So you have to consider that part. And let's say you want to try work around it, well, you can try that. Toronto, I'm not gonna say all the loads are paying cheap coming out of Toronto, but there are loads coming out of Toronto. You will always get a return load. Good work in Toronto, but what you have to mindful of is the cost of living in Toronto. So you have to think about the cost of living in Toronto so you can know if this is something that you want to do, you know what I mean? Check that part out first. And like I said, there are loads back and forth in Toronto. Toronto is the hot spot for Landstar in terms of back and forth with loads, you know what I mean? But the loads coming out is sometimes not paying good, but sometimes they are paying well, you know what I mean? So you can really work out in Toronto. So New Brunswick is pretty slow, but there are loads coming out of New Brunswick, and based on where you are, you will get cheap loads coming back out of New Brunswick, good loads going back in. And I keep saying cheap loads. When I really look into it, most of the loads that is coming out, because we're looking at it in US, because it says $1 something, sometimes if you really work it out, you're like $2 Canadian, you know what I mean, per mile. So sometimes I'm saying cheap load, but because of maybe if you're used to the $2 a lot and the $3, $4, $5, then you will consider some other load as cheap loads, you know what I mean? But it's not necessarily cheap. The next thing is, and you have to be mindful at Landstar, you get fuel surcharge and also you get some discount on your fuel card. So you have a lot of little things that you can work with there, and also, you know, like discount and tires and stuff like that. So you get some cool stuff that will have your business flowing until you get to your own authority. Like, you know, a lot of people link me up, Troystarz, you need to get your own authority. Yes, I know, but the insurance is very expensive in Canada, very expensive, you know what I mean? So if you have chuck payments and plus that insurance, I don't know how you're gonna work this out. So that's what I'm saying. Now the next thing is where I want you to think about living in Toronto. If you're gonna go out where, like maybe in London, Woodstock, or Windsor, out those areas are not so populated as yet, so you can settle there. So that would be my recommended area to live, you know what I mean? And the reason why I mentioned Woodstock and Windsor and all that other places is because the rent will be a little more affordable down that side, you know what I mean? Because it's not in the hot area, and it's getting hot soon. But just to cover your question, that's all I have to say about it. And you know, I mean, you can't really compare your work against the guys in the US, because the guys in the US, based on what I saw on the board, if I was living in US, I wouldn't see the problem not to work for Landstar. I'm telling you the truth, based on what I saw. I don't know what anyone else is going through. I don't know what the information other BCO have, or what the reason not to make money at Landstar. But when I look at the board, unless when I look at the board I'm looking at the right time, I don't know, but whenever I look at the board, I can see some good loads. Mark you, some of the loads may not be in the area of where you want, but when you read the notes, you can see the notes is saying that this load is starts at this date and finish at this date. So basically what that is telling you, that you can get a chance to get into that pool of what's going on. So you can call the broker up and be like, you know, a couple of miles out, I'm trying to get a load to get down where you are, so put me in, or whatnot, you know what I mean? And there are some loads sitting going, but there are some far distance, some of them that I saw, but they are paying really well. I'm like, trust me, if I have to tell my fiance or anyone that I'm going to be out for 3 weeks to take that load, that's what I'm going to do. Because some of those loads, when I saw the payout on some of those loads, trust me, I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because most of them that I saw will take you maybe like 8 days. But that 8 days, what you get for that 8 days will really cover the month. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I saw. And I saw it a lot of times. Even today, I was looking at it and I saw, you know what I mean? So, and now I'm in Colorado. And I take this load from Edmonton and I came to Colorado. And trust me, Colorado is dead. Colorado, there's nothing going on back to take you back to Canada or to get me back to Canada. And I'm here like, well, I came here on a Thursday and I'm no, today is Sunday. But it is very hard, and to get a load to go back to Canada, I have to go maybe to Mexico. Texas, not Mexico. Texas, and outskirting of Colorado, but not in Colorado. I've not seen anything coming out of Colorado. I don't know what's going on in Colorado. Is dead. I'm not. I learned my lesson with this load, with this trip, or with Colorado. I'm not coming back. Colorado is something to be aware of, for Canadian BCOs, and Florida. Florida is the next place to be aware of, unless you're gonna go to Florida because maybe you're gonna link up with some friends or family or something, and you want that time off. You will get that time off. You know what I mean? But you have to come back to Georgia. So some of the places you have to be aware of. You have to like stay away. You know what I mean? You have some location that is very well, and that's where you want to be. But to answer your question, because I don't want to stray away, so sign on with Landstar and be in Winnipeg. It can work, but you have to have patience, right? And why I say that, because you can be in Winnipeg today and there's no load, and if you stay there for like 2-3 days, then a load will come up. But sometimes you don't want that, right? But the upper side to that is the load that is going back in are paying really well and pretty well. You know what I mean? Especially if you get a load to go in Texas. If you get a load and go in Texas, you can take that load, because every load coming back out of Texas going into Canada is looking really good. You know what I mean? So you can actually sit and wait in Texas, because sometimes when the load is on the board too long, the money keep going up. But you have to be careful, because someone will grab it right as it change. You know what I mean? So sometimes you gotta like watch it. But sometimes there's a lot of loads in there. You know what I mean? But you know, you can work out what you want to take. Now I'm gonna answer a couple more questions. The thing that I don't like about Landstar, like what I see going on since lately. Sometimes, or what happened to me the other day, because I could come out of Colorado already, right? But I saw a load on the board in Colorado, but that load was paying like $1 something, and it was going to Brampton, Ontario, right? I think it was paying like $3,000, and that was 1,800 miles. But there's another load going to Newfoundland that was paying $8,000, right? And that load was picking up in, oh my gosh, what WI? I don't remember what the name. It was picking up in WI. When I look at the weights of the Newfoundland load, it was 17,000 pounds, and the one that was picking up in Colorado was 5,000 pounds. So I call the broker up and I'm like, can this load take as a partial load? And partial load meaning if I can load it with another load, because you can do as many pickup as you want in the US, but you just can't deliver. You can do 3, 4, 5, 10 pickups, but you have to go back to Canada with the load to deliver. You can't pick up and deliver in the States, right? Now, I asked how many pallet was it on the load from Colorado going into Canada, that's Brampton, right? And the lady says it was 7 pallets. I told her I will get back to her, right? So I call up the person that had the Newfoundland load that was paying $8,000, and I asked how many pallet was it, and that person said 8. I'm like, okay, cool. They can both take together. So I try to do it like right. I asked the broker that was having the load in Colorado that, can I take this load as a partial load, pick up another load that was going to Newfoundland, because you know the boat loads are paying cheap, but if I get the both of them, I will take the load. She said, all right, cool. So by the time she said all right, cool, she called me back and says, if I'm gonna take the load, no, the load was paying $3,500, sorry. If I'm gonna take the load, no, she said the load was a team load. This is exactly the word she used. The load was a team load, and they added on the board. And now that it's not gonna take by a team, the price would have to reduce. There's no information in that note or on the load board that says anything about team. But what I'm thinking is that because she knew I was gonna pick up another load, and maybe I say too much to her, I don't know, but she wanted to change the price from her side, carry it down lower, because I was gonna get another load with that load to take in. No, that I don't know. I don't see how that even makes sense. Once the load is already posted for that, you see, I could understand if it was a load going to Newfoundland, which I still not gonna take that as a reason, but I could understand if it was a load going to Newfoundland, meaning because I would go there and then the trailer would already be loaded and they would be like, we didn't know you had another load on here, you know what I mean? Or maybe that shipper pay for the whole entire truck. No, the only way they would load at Newfoundland, I don't think they would pay for the whole entire truck, because $8,000 couldn't work out for you to carry that load to Newfoundland if you know what Newfoundland is and if you know the fees that is gonna take out of that $8,000. And let me just do a quick breakdown based on what I know, right? Ferry, $1,400 and something, right? I have a vlog on my channel that I went to Newfoundland. I'll put a link here so you guys could go ahead and look at it. That was a very good video trip. But anyway, $1,400 to go Newfoundland ferry. That's ferry, and it's 2,500 miles. And to work it out, you're looking at, call it $1,300 for fuel to get there. I think, yes, about $1,300, 2 full tank. You know what I mean? Now, I could work out that trip with the 3,500 and the $8,000, because that would be like 11,500, and I would be like going in the same direction to drop one load off in Brampton and the other one in Newfoundland. That would work out in a sense where one load could use for fuel, and then the Newfoundland load I would just pay just the ferry from that load, and then it will work out for the driver, you know what I mean, and work out for my truck, you know what I mean. So that's what I'm talking about. But back to what I was saying, I don't know what type of things going on with these brokers that they want to put one price there and then switch it back down. I don't know. It's like I don't know. Something is not right. It's like the load is just trickling down. The money is just trickling down. As soon as, it's like if you're new, or if they think you're new, or if you don't know what you're doing, they change the price on you. And it seems like, because this is what I'm thinking, it seems like even though they collect that money from the shipper, they still can cut it down and take more and give you less. So I don't know how Landstar have that work out, you know, working that part out, like have them cutting the load like that, you know. Now the next thing I want to talk about what's going on at Landstar is I saw a load on the load board the other day. It was in December. That load was picking up in New York, not New York City, but New York, and it was going to Montreal. In the notes of that load was saying US citizen only. No, I had a problem with that. I have a problem. And the real reason why I had a problem with that is because I'm saying, why the load is going to Canada and it is saying US citizen only? Why US citizen only? You know what I mean? Now, that load, because I remember like it was I remember clearly like it was yesterday. That load was paying $15 per mile. What was in the notes was the load was picking up on Friday, right? The load is not delivering until the next Friday. So basically you'd have that load on the truck for 1 week. The note says you can drop the trailer off at the location on Monday and pick up back the trailer on Friday. That load was paying $5,800. I think it was 300 and something miles. You guys do the maths. But the information was US citizen only. I had a problem because I'm like, but why? You know what I mean? And we can't carry a load. I never saw a load in Canada that says Canadian citizen only. I never saw that load. So I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? So that was one of the things that I didn't like, because I was right there. The load was like 20 miles away from me. I was right there. I'm like, Jesus. I call the person, I call the broker, I'm like, listen, can you call him and ask him why? Tell him a driver is next door to load. What you mean? You know what I mean? But I mean, the guy called him back and said that's the reason why they're paying that well, because they want the US citizens to put the load up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm not gonna stress it. You know what I mean? But that was it. Hopefully, I cover the question that was asked. You know what I mean? Even though I had more stuff into it, because I just wanna, you know, state what the new thing that is going on at the moment. You know what I mean? And to let you guys have an understanding. So, you know, it's Troystarz trucking, and if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing if you're not already. Please leave me a comment on what the messages that I just leave. And for my subscribers, I'm gonna have a call-in session. I'm gonna go live soon. Setting up my studio at home. Well, I said studio, but not really. I'm setting up something at home where I can have you guys calling in and answer a couple questions. I know we can reason, we can talk, you know what I mean? So look out for that thing coming up. And also, I have a weekly vlog coming up, which I'm gonna vlog. I'm gonna vlog my trip, my weekly trip. I'm gonna vlog what happened from Monday to Friday and put those out, you know what I mean? So, and in between, I'll be doing more videos like these. So look out for the new things that I'm trying with the channel, and also give me your take on them. And you know what I mean, thanks for tuning in. And please, if you're not following me on Instagram, you need to. You know what I mean? I'm more active there. Also, you guys know my email address is in the description. So if you guys want to link me up on anything, ask any question, or you know what I mean, try to tell me something, you can do.
For more videos like this, please subscribe.